So, sup guys, welcome to another podcast. So today I have Tom Barkley on, and we're basically going to speak about personal training. So Tom's been a PT for about 3 years, and again, I've been fortunate to get him on. I messaged him a couple of days ago, and we're basically going to speak about PT and kind of how to get into the industry, what to do when you're kind of there. So Tom, just if you want to say a little bit about yourself and just kind of your background.
So I pretty much started training when I was like 16. Like a lot of people, I just kind of went in the gym, stayed fit and healthy. I started getting quite interested in it, started researching it more and more, and then that just developed into me becoming a PT. About 3 years ago, I started one-to-one. Personal trained in a gym I'm still at now was Raw Performance. It's based in Hitchin, Hertfordshire. Slowly built up my client base, built up my knowledge. I realised what I did at the start of my career was absolute waffle compared to what I do now. But hopefully I'll think that in another 3 years because it does show you're progressing. And then January this year, so 2018, I started online coaching as well.
So before you became a PT, what did you kind of do? Did you, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21, so you were 18. So did you just come out of college, sixth form, or?
Yeah, so I did my GCSEs, did alright. I went and did my AS levels, decided that I could just wing it. I couldn't wing it, didn't do very well. They wanted me to resit the year, but I just knew it wasn't really for me. I had nothing against school and I wasn't like naughty at all, but I just didn't like sitting in the classroom being told what to do. So I went to college and I studied business at college, what I quite enjoyed. And then when I was studying business at college, I was also working in a pub at the time. But then I got told I had to do work experience for my college course. And everyone else was getting things like Tesco and blah, 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 what I knew I didn't want to do. But I trained at Raw Performance for like 2 years before it. So I just asked them if I could just come in, just shadow them for a week and just do whatever they wanted me to do to both of the owners. They were like, yeah, of course. So I went in there, did that for a week, did a couple of clients for them, and they're like, oh, you're all right, like, you've got all right knowledge. If you get your qualification, then we'll give you a job. So then that September, I went and got my qualification while I was still at business college. I did the qualification through the college, and in that January, I qualified, then I started that January.
So did you know before you asked them, like, can I just work at your place at the Raw? Did you kind of know that you had an idea of becoming a PT or in the industry, or was it kind of like, you know what, I kind of know the environment, I'm just going to throw myself in there?
Yeah. I never had the plan of becoming a PT at all. Like, I knew that I enjoyed the gym. Like, I was one of the guys that went to the gym, said that I was just stay fit and healthy. Then I was like addicted after a week or two. Like, hammered it. So I always loved going to the gym, but I never really saw it as a career choice. And then they offered me the job, and my plan was just to run it part time while I was at college, because it's quite flexible hours that I could work before college and after college and on weekends. So I did that. And that summer, I actually had a place up at Liverpool Uni, Liverpool John Moores, to study business management. So I had to decide if I wanted to stay on and do the job that I was doing as a PT, or if I wanted to go and do uni. And that took me about 3 or 4 months to decide. But now I'm pretty happy that I chose to stay.
Do you feel like you made the right decision? Do you think like you could have gone to university, got a degree, come back and did the same thing, or would you say 100% sort of right decision in what you're doing?
And for me, it was definitely the right decision. I do think the university is helpful for people who need that to get into a job. But the idea of me going to university, I'd have to then study again and basically work up like 50 grand of debt to come out, not be guaranteed a job and not really know what you're going to do. When I weighed up my options, I just decided it wasn't really worth it. And at the end of the day, the way that I saw it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue this as a long-term career, but even if I wanted to just do this short-term and then go into something else, I knew that I could just start as entry-level and work my way up, start on an apprenticeship scheme, or just go and do like distance university or something. So yeah, I definitely think I made the right decision now.
Yeah, that's one of the things, because I went to university myself, and I'm the sort of person where I just kind of play it by ear and I just go with the flow. University just seemed like one of those things. It was just an automatic. You finish sixth form. That's kind of what you do. My brother and sister did that. But like you said, 50, 60 grand in debt, and I look at it now and I'm self-employed. I just wish I hadn't. I know Carly always says to me, you shouldn't really say that because you've learned so much there, but that's 3 years what I could have been doing, what I always knew what I wanted to do. In terms of people what would you suggest for someone that either they're at university or they're at a job and they're quite comfortable now, but they know that's not what they want to be doing. They want to go either as a PT, online coach, fitness industry. What would you kind of like suggest for them?
So I'd say a couple of things. I'd say firstly, speak to people who are already PTs, because chances are you look at a PT and you think their life's like, oh, I just go in the gym and train a couple of people and it's all like hunky-dory. And you probably look at someone who's self-employed and think, oh, it's great, they work when they want to work, like they don't have to do anything they don't want to do, but it's not really the case. Like being self-employed is not easy, and being a PT has its ups and downs. So I'd say go and speak to people, actually get a broad idea of what the job's like before you just commit to it completely. And then I'd say to start out part-time. So if you're just working like a 9 to, obviously go get qualified. Then if you're just working like a 9 to 5 job, after work or on weekends, start PTing your mates for like a really cheap rate, or start PTing people that you know, and then work off of that. Then if you start enjoying that, then hopefully you get a bit of reputation and then get some more clients in. And then I wouldn't actually quit that other job until you knew it was like either 100% what you wanted to do, or financially wise it started making sense.
That's it, and I think you're absolutely spot on there in terms of getting experience. I come across PTs at the moment that will just sort of jump in, and I sort of speak about them like their long-term goal. They're not quite sure, and I think some people, you look on there like outside and you think, oh, it's a cushy little job, where there's a lot of like ups and downs that you said, a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives. And definitely for someone looking on the outside, definitely experience yourself and speak to someone. In terms of your PT role at Raw Performance, so how does that kind of work? So when you first joined them sort of 3 years ago, like my gym, you have to work a certain amount of hours for free, or you pay rent. How does yours kind of work, and how did you kind of balance that?
Right, so everyone at Raw Performance is self-employed. All the trainers who work for us are self-employed. Then if you have a private client, so somebody who's your own personal client, you pay the gym rent per client, or if the gym gets clients, they'll give them out to the trainers and then they'll pay you per session.
Okay, that's quite cool.
So most gyms that I've heard of have a setup where you just have to pay a fixed rate every single month. What obviously has its benefits, because if you get loads of clients, you're doing really well. But if you don't have many clients, then you can end up losing out. So,
do you find that's a better model than these gyms that, like myself, that you have to work a certain amount of hours for free, can build up your kind of base? Do you think that is more beneficial, or like, you know, PTs that are there already at your gym that have experienced that elsewhere? Do you think that works well at Raw?
I think they both ways work well for different reasons, and even from a business owner standpoint, both gym facilities kind of work well. We're quite a small gym. We've got about 200 members, and we're only a private facility, so we don't need to have 7 different PT workers to sit on our desk. Whereas if you're like a larger group, like gym group, then you probably do. So.
And in terms of kind of people that go to your gym, is it just people that are after PT, or is it people that just want to train themselves? Or
so we do have both. I'd say the majority of our client base are personal training clients. I'd say about 80% of our clients have personal training, but then we do offer normal gym membership as well.
Okay, wicked. In terms of clients, like when I first started as a PT, sort of this time last year, I remember I was asking questions like, how do you deal with like a client that comes to you asking this, that and the other? And I was always super confused. So like, what would you say? Because we know as personal trainers, there's all different types of clients. So you have some clients that want a program. There's some clients that only want to be with you for the next couple of months because they have a holiday or a wedding or whatever. You have some clients that just want to, like, I call it like a blitz. They just want like a hardcore, like intense session. So how do you kind of deal with your different clients? Like what do you kind of do with them? So if someone comes to you and wanted different things, how do you kind of manage that?
So, like you said, you've just got to bear in mind that every single person is going to be an individual, but that's why they call it personal training, is because it should be personal to the client that you're working with. Like, you can eventually maybe find a niche after your PT for a couple of years, but for the outset, for most people who are probably listening to this, if you're in your first 1 or 2 years PT, you'll be working with everyone and anyone, and then you just kind of learn to tailor things. Like even I have males who are in their 20s who want to get as big as possible and as ripped as possible, and then I have a female client who's in her late 50s, and the way that I approach their sessions are completely different. You just have to, I think that the consultation process is very important to get to know your client quite well, and then find out what they want from you and then work off that. Like my 20-year-old guys, well, most of them want to be beasted, they want to do heavy weights, they want to see the progression like that, they want a diet plan. Whereas my late 50s female just wants to come in, she wants to feel fit and healthy, she wants to make sure that she can still move and stuff like that. So I'm not going to start beasting her and shouting at her to do an extra 10 kilos on the leg press. Like that's like, you just need to learn even how you communicate with people in sessions as well. So as well as learning how to structure your training and nutrition for each individual, how you communicate with each individual person will vary. And it's something I do actually ask people in consultation. It's like how they're best motivated. Like some people do like to be shouted at and screamed at, and like that's how they'll get motivated to do more. Whereas other people need the more comforting and the more like supportive side. So
you kind of have to just adapt, haven't you? You'll have different sort of clients that will have different needs, and you haven't got to change, but just adapt your sort of skills around them. So like me and Sam were speaking about the other day, we were saying in terms of sort of online coaching, you're not going to be the finished product. So it's exactly the same with one-to-one. Like when it comes to consultation, or if you do like free taster sessions or anything like that, no matter what you do, the first few months of doing that, you won't ever be the finished product. I remember when I first started as a PT, I used to have this, it's so embarrassing, but I used to have like a list of questions what I'd ask. So I'd do the same routine, someone would come in, I'd introduce myself, have the same questions, but it doesn't work like that. You have to like, the more you do it, the more it just kind of comes naturally, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. On that one as well, like when I first started PTing, I didn't even do a consultation process. Like I just got a client and I'd just go straight onto the gym floor, and then I'd just start putting them through whatever, and then kind of just get to know them as I went along. And then obviously you learn that that's not quite the way to do it. But the way that I see it is if you don't look back at what you've done like 2 years ago, 2 years, 2 years ago, then you're not progressing. Like even 10 years into my career, I still want to look back at things that I'm doing 15 years into my career and be like, why was I doing that like that? Because it shows that you're constantly progressing. So,
and that's the way it is, isn't it? Like every single, like I look back, even like last year, or even like 6 months ago, actually, like why was I doing that? In terms of my own training as well, like I looked at some of my form, I was like, why was I doing that? And you always learn, and that's going to be the same in the next 6 months. I'm going to look back and be like what the fuck was I doing? In terms of your kind of like knowledge, as a, you know, you can do all the courses in the world and you can read up all these different blogs and watch all the YouTube videos. But how do you transfer your knowledge to a client? Like what sort of skills do you kind of need and require to help that client to sort of learn and educate?
Right, so I think the biggest thing is to further educate yourself. So once you've done your level 3 qualification, I personally don't think it's very good.
No.
But you have to do it as a tick box. So once you've done that, what you learn after that, in my opinion, is going to be how good of a PT you are. So you should firstly educate yourself from as many different resources and as many different people as possible. But then transferring that to clients is kind of an art in itself, because you might listen to some of the top guys in the industry, they'll be speaking about X, Y, and Z that you as a personal trainer only just about understand. If you then try and pass that on to your average Joe client, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you on about? And I see a lot of PTs do it all the time. They want to come across as knowledgeable and smart, so they just regurgitate information that they've learned of top guys in the industry, but to the people they're speaking to, it makes no fucking sense. Can I swear on it?
Yeah.
Right. So it makes no fucking sense to them. Like, they don't know what that person means. So you need to learn how to take information, dull it down, and then pass it on so then they'll understand it in layman's terms.
Mm-hmm. I think like the industry we're in and the kind of type of training that you do, you know, with the training and nutrition, like the clients you get, a lot of clients are beginners or people that don't want that. So I've had a question the other day about like what kind of like macros do you set someone? I can't remember what the question was, but it's like how do you sit down someone and tell them about their macros and things like that? And I literally said like not everybody wants that as much as that may help them even more so, but people don't want that, do they?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that's something to consider is what your client wants. Like from that consultation process, you should kind of get an idea of it. But the chances are, if you're working with like a middle-aged mum, she doesn't want to be scanning everything putting it onto my fitness pal. Some of them might, but I like the difference that I had at the start of my career was I just put everyone on my fitness pal and gave them macros, and if they weren't on that, I didn't really have anything set for them. Now I've got like 5, 6, 7 different protocols I can use for each individual person.
So someone that doesn't want to use sort of MyFitnessPal or track macros or anything like that, you have something else for them that can still get them results.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, because I have some people, some of the clients in my gym, that they're a bit confused if they don't want to use MyFitnessPal and they don't want to do that. Like, but then they come back and say, why have I not got results? But you're saying like you've got your own kind of protocol and your own structure for them to do.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think what's quite good is like people speak about like what's optimal, but you need to relate what's optimal to each individual person. Like it would be optimal for everyone to follow who wants to grow muscle, say, to follow like a very fixed regimented training plan and a very fixed regimented nutrition plan. But if fucking the majority of people we know, like say his name's Ben, wants to go out on the weekend and have a few beers, that's not optimal, but that's what he's going to do. So you need to learn how to make things optimal for that person in that given situation. Like if someone says they can only train 3 times a week, you can't go, nah, you have to train 5 times a week. Or
this is the only way to get,
Yeah, like you just have to structure everything that you know to make what they are capable of as optimal as possible for them.
Would you say as a PT starting out when you were 18, did you kind of know this then as you do now, or did it take kind of time to learn?
Absolutely, it's definitely taken a lot of time to learn. My issue was that I was an 18-year-old boy who had no issues other than training. So like I could go to college, don't get me wrong, I had college work, but that's not too bad. And then I could literally go to the gym as much as I wanted. I could diet, and I've never found social situations hard. So like, if I was ever cutting and I was in a social situation and someone was like, do you want to eat this, do you want to eat that? I'd just say no, because that's just what I can personally do. And then if I took like a middle-aged client who was a mum-free, she'd be like, oh, but I have to eat the same meals as my family. Like, it's our time that we sit down and we share together. Initially, when I was 18, I'd just be like, why? Like, just go cook your own food, just eat your own food. Like, it doesn't matter. Whereas now I more understand and I can sympathise with people of different age ranges or even different commitment levels.
Yeah.
I understand that some of my clients do want to go out every single weekend because that's just is what it is, or they want to go and enjoy social occasions. But I now have more tools in my box, so I can take that into account and give them my best possible advice to make that situation as good as possible for their progress.
And I have some clients myself that like paramedics or they'll do like a 14-hour shift. Yeah. They have half an hour break. So if you're that kind of PT online coach and you're like, no, you've got to do this, that and the other, well, unfortunately you're going to lose that client because in a whole day they only got a small break. Where can they get the meals in? And you've got to be accepting of that. So would you say that's the main point you've kind of learned since you were 18? Or what else have you kind of learned since then?
There's been a lot. I've learned a lot since I was 18. Like even the good thing about this industry is that if you want to learn, there's 101 different resources, whether it's like YouTube, whether you're going on seminars, whether you're just speaking to people over Instagram, even if you're just reading people's Instagram posts, like you can educate yourself every single day to gain a lot of knowledge very, very quickly. So everything from the way that I do my consultations, the way that I set up programs and diets, to the way that I behave with clients, the way that I market, everything is completely different to what I did when I was 18, or even to what I did a year ago.
What was it like 3 years ago in terms of like Instagram now has gone crazy? You can do so much on their stories, IGTV. What was that kind of like I know I'm speaking like as ages ago, but obviously it was a lot more different did you find it hard to perhaps like not necessarily market yourself, but kind of promote content back then as to now?
So I set up my Instagram when I was in PT school, where I just called it Tom Barkley PT, and just started posting like a little bit of random stuff on there, but I wasn't consistent with it. Like I had no really set structure with it. It was just kind of like, I think like one of my first ever posts was just a bowl of like oats, and then that one was literally just like a protein bar, and then one was like a supplement order, and it was just like random stuff. Like that had no like I didn't even write anything about it. It had no context to it, and it was just me randomly putting out photos. I was quite lucky in the fact that my gym in our town had a very good reputation, so they got quite a lot of the clientele and then passed them on to me, and then it kind of worked off of that.
In terms of your Instagram now and to what it was like, what is it kind of like now? Like I see your posts, it's like very informative. You're a bit like Sam, where you try and promote like a balanced kind of lifestyle. It doesn't have to be all bodybuilding. So when you kind of make a post like now, like what do you tend to do? Like what's your kind of structure to that?
So what I would recommend most people doing who want to start on Instagram, like everyone will tell you that Instagram's like heavily saturated, blah blah blah, but it's just waffle, because like if you look at how many billions of people are active on Instagram every single day, right, you don't even need 1% of them to follow you and to like you and to engage with you. So like you're only searching for like this small like market share basically. So if anyone ever tells you that anything's oversaturated, in my opinion it's not.
Yeah.
Like people tell you that the PT industry is oversaturated, but in my opinion there's a lot of PTs, but there's not a lot of good PTs, and there's not a lot of PTs who stick at it, because most PTs like fail within like 3 years, or like give up job in like 3 years. So when people say it's oversaturated, I don't really believe in it. But what I would recommend doing is trying to set yourself out a structure. So decide how many times you want to post a week, whether that's twice, whether that's 7 times, whether that's 14 times. Some people do post twice a day. And then have a structure for it. So say like on a Monday, most people do like motivation Mondays, like pop a little bit of motivation. On Tuesday, I do like training tip Tuesday, so I'll give everyone like a training tip for a Tuesday. Wednesday, I used to do whiteboard wisdom, so I'll do like an informative bit on the whiteboard. And then I'll throw back Thursday, follow it, blah, 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 blah. So basically, you don't have to follow them trends. But if you know that like on a Monday, you're going to post some diet advice, Tuesday's going to be some training advice, Wednesday's going to be a bit of personal information about you, because people do want to know about you. Thursday's going to be a client result, and then Friday is just going to be like supplement advice. And then just work off of that, and then you'll find when you're writing content, it's a lot easier because you know the kind of thing that you want to write about.
Mate, seriously, like that's going to help so many people, because structure goes a long way, and the more you do that, the better it's going to get. And definitely going to your point about the oversaturated like view, I think it's so frustrating with personal trainers when people like want to speak about a topic, fat loss, for example, macros. People say, "Oh yeah, it's the same old garbage." Like, true, but it's how you kind of get that over to someone.
Yeah.
I meet so many people that still have no idea like what your macros are or how to figure out your macros. But these are the same people that said they try to watch so many different YouTube videos on it.
What I know on that point is that like the people who you follow doesn't necessarily mean that the people who follow you are following. So like I might see X, Y, and Z talk about like this type of life, say talk about keto, but the people who follow me might never have even have heard about keto. So me then speaking about my opinion or like my views or like the research on keto, it's not copying them because I put my own spin on it. And like we said, like them people have never even heard of it. So like the fitness industry's grown, I don't know what the actual figures are in my head, but it's grown like tenfold in the past 10 years. So like while there's getting more and more people who come to work in the fitness industry, there's also getting more and more people who are interested in the fitness industry.
Mm-hmm. And it's very frustrating as well. The same people that say something's oversaturated is the same people that will get annoyed when you try and promote something like unique. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're saying, oh, you know, you're going away from the basics, but then at the same time you're saying that something's oversaturated. So what? So there's only a certain amount of people that can do this, and then the rest you can't. So in terms of your very first month as a PT, I think this is the probably I don't know about yourself, but the first month, the first 6 months is the hardest kind of month. You might not have any clients, you might not have any income. What did you do sort of in your first month?
So I like I previously mentioned, I was very lucky that I started off working at Raw Performance. So even on my first week as a PT, I already had 7 sessions in my diary. So my first ever week, I already had 7 sessions, just because I worked I was self-employed, but took the clients from Raw, started working with them, and then it just slowly started building up, because at the time, there was only the 2 owners who were PT in there. They both had pretty much full diaries, so everyone else who walked through the door pretty much got put straight into my diary.
Okay.
So in that sense, I was very, very fortunate.
How long was the gym open when you started working there?
So the gym had been open for 4 years, I believe,
okay.
And they had previously been at a different location, and they did have another PT working for them. But that PT, quite conveniently, left 2 or 3 months just before I started. So.
Okay, I see. In terms of after those kind of first sort of 7 clients that you said, getting on more clients, how did you go about doing that? Like, did you promote yourself through social media? Did you do I always hear the word like floor walks, which I find very, that's a very small part. I think some people try and big up more than others. Yeah. But what did you kind of do to kind of get more clients?
So what I did was I started being a lot more active on social media. But I think my biggest one was that I got 2 of my first ever clients. I started off with them, and they were with me for an 8-week transformation, was something that Raw runs. Like, we run 8 and 12-week transformations. So I straight away worked with them. I kind of had an idea what I was doing, but I got a lot of guidance from Harry and Mark, who were already the owners there. So then at the end of my first ever 8 weeks PT, I had a pretty good set of results to publish and to put out. And in my opinion, that's one of the best ways you're going to pick up clientele is through results. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're someone who wants to come to you for fat loss, or say all the people online who want to come to a PT for fat loss, if they see evidence of you being able to produce fat loss results with clients, they're going to be like, oh, this guy kind of knows what he's on about. And he doesn't just talk it, he can show it.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely think with PT, the first 6 months is completely different to any other time as a PT, because the first 6 months is, you might have to do your floor walks, you might have to talk to people, you might have to try and offer free taster sessions to get the people in to, 1, get results, 2, to actually show that you're a PT, to show people that this is how you work, because people walk past, people watch, and but then after that it's more like a lot of my clients now, it's either like word of mouth or like social media. Whereas I don't, perhaps, there'll be a time where I'll try and seek a client out, but it's completely different to the first 6 months, would you say?
Yeah, in that first 6 months, I'd just recommend getting in as many, if you can get a good deal with if you're paying rent though, say if you're paying like £500 rent, which is pretty much the fixed rate, even if you get your friends and family in and you're charging them like £10 a session, what isn't much at all, but it's enough just to help pay a bit of rent. If you can get a couple of your mates in who are pretty committed and they know that you've trained for a couple of years and you're in quite good shape, and they're willing to actually stick to what you tell them to, then you will your diary won't be full, but you'll have a few people in who are friends and family, and then you can start building it off of that. And then when you sit down with people, you'll be a lot more confident to tell them, oh, I've worked with someone in your position, even if that was your mate or your family member, you still have, so then you've got a bit more experience there.
It makes you a lot of very relatable as well. Like, if you've done something with someone, all different types of people, and then you have a new client, you'd be like, this is what I've done with this person, this is what I can do with yourself. So just before we went on here, we spoke about a little bit online coaching. So you've been doing online coaching since January, did you say?
Yeah.
How do you find that in comparison to one-to-one? Do you find it much different? What's your view on it?
So I like it, and I don't like it for different reasons. I first started up online coaching just because my one-to-one diary was pretty much completely full, it was at full capacity. And I was getting a couple of people message me from a little bit further afield who were like, I'd love to train with you, but I can't travel to Raw. So I already had an online coach myself at the time, and then it just made sense to me to start it up. One is another revenue, another revenue source, to by bringing in extra income, but also so then I could just access more clients, so then I could help more clients on a week-to-week basis. I like online coaching with people who have got a bit of experience. So I personally, if someone's never ever stepped foot in the gym before in their life, I'd probably say go and see a local PT to you. I'll even help them find a good PT, like free of charge, so then they find a good PT to start off. I'd say go start with them for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Get to know like the basics at least, like how to execute some exercises, pretty much where the muscles are, and blah 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 blah, and then come to me for online coaching, because I need people to have a bit of experience before I can take them through an online coaching process.
Yeah, and that's what we spoke about a second ago, because with online coaching, as much as you want to be the best online coach in the world and help someone, there is only so much that you can do. Like, you can kind of put the platform in place, you can guide them as much as possible, but you're not actually doing it for them. And I think that's the one kind of downside from online coaching to one-to-one. One-to-one, you can kind of demonstrate, you can break things down.
Yeah.
As an online coach, it's so hard to do that, and it's a completely different ball game, I'd say.
Yeah, you'll get some clients like online who like, they'll send you a form video, you'll say do this, or you'll send them a video back saying look, execute like this, and then bang, they've straight away got it. Like, these are normally the people I find in my experience who play sport from a young age, who have been in the gym quite a while. They pick things up very, very quickly, but you might get another person who sends you a form video, is not even nearly correct. You send one back saying do a bit more like this, they send it back, it's still awful, and then so on and so on. And that kind of person needs somebody one-to-one to put them into the correct position to execute that exercise correctly and safely. So,
great advice, bro. Like, I honestly think if someone's watching this right now and they're thinking about getting an online coach, just have a little look at your form, have a look at others. Are you doing the things correctly where you can kind of have a coach to guide you? Because a coach can't take you from, like, an online coach can't take you from like zero, like say like 3 weeks training to, you know, a physique competitor, as much as you'd want to, and some people could, like, but it's a long kind of process for that. So definitely, I think if you haven't had one-to-one PT to get your basics, then go straight into that. In terms of your online coaching, so you've got TB Physique Development. So how long has that kind of brand been around?
So I signed up. I officially started my online coaching in January, but I did the same kind of thing as what I did for PT. I took on my gym owner and 2 of my mates as online clients 4 or 6 months before that, just because I wanted to see how the systems work and that kind of idea. So I did all of them for very, very, very cheap rate, like pretty much nothing. I did a couple of them for nothing at all. Because I set everything up on Excel, I had like a check-in process, and I did that for them over like 2 or 3 months, realised it was all waffle, didn't like it, got rid of that, got a whole new system in place, did that for them, and then that still wasn't very good, and then I set up Google Drive. So I knew that once I had my Google Drive set up, that's how I knew that I wanted to do my coaching, and that was about in November. And November just decided when I wanted to rebrand myself, because I was just Tom Barkley PT, didn't really have a logo. So I went to a logo designer, got one made up, and then I launched the brand in November, and then launched online coaching in January.
And how do you find it now with a brand that you didn't have before? Do you think it's so much better actually having a kind of like brand to the face?
I'd say a couple of things. One, I do think it's better. Like, people get to know your brand and get to know you. Like, people will learn like about your Instagram, because that's where I do pretty much all of my marketing. But they'll know that like I'm TB Physique Development, and like you said, they'll link that brand to a name, and I think it makes it look a lot more professional. Like, if you've got a brand name and a good logo, it has to be a good logo, not a word art logo. It makes you look a lot more professional. So when you're selling your services, or when like you're sending over plans and stuff, all of your logo, and it's all color coordinated and stuff like that, it makes it look a lot more professional. But with that being said, I personally wouldn't recommend a new PT to start a brand that doesn't have their personal name in it. So I've spoken to some PTs in the past, and like they've called themselves like, I don't know, just a random name that's got nothing to do with them or even the service that they offer most of the time. So people, like, if people ever start following them on Instagram, they won't actually know who they are. They'll learn who their brand is, but they won't learn who they are. like my name's obviously my name's Tom Barkley. So to me, it made sense to have that in a name, and then physique development, because what I want to do is help people to develop their physiques, whether that's fat loss or to build muscle. So to me, that name just made sense. Whereas if you just pluck a random name out of the sky because it's got something to do with training or nutrition, people won't get to know you. And I think getting people to know who you are, they'll buy into you a lot more, so it's a lot easier.
That's an interesting debate, and I think, yeah, definitely, you've got to look at kind of both sides. Do you kind of want I think you've got a bit of both, like you said. It really does work, and obviously you're Tom Barkley, but then you're TB at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like someone like Cam, for example, he's team conditioned, but people, I think he's done it long enough now that people know who he is, and then other people just use their name, but then using just your name is a good way of people knowing who you are. You speak about it straight away, you know.
It's also it's because of that as well. You want people to speak about your name, as you just said. Like everyone knows who Cam is, so it works well for him because he's got his conditioned, but people be like, I'm part of team conditioned, and it's run by Cam.
Yeah.
So that works for him very well. Whereas like when I want everyone to speak about my brand, I want everyone to have my name in their voice. So when people say like, oh yeah, I train with TB physique development, I want everyone to know that TB means Tom Barkley, like, because I want people to speak about my name, so then I build up more of a reputation.
Mm-hmm. And then just one final point, in terms of your actual brand, what would you suggest to someone that was just starting PT, they knew their long-term future was in personal training or the fitness industry? Like, I for myself, I kind of wanted my feet on the ground first. I wanted to build a one-to-one before I started calling myself. I know at the moment I'm like just Nathan C Fitness, but that's just like something very, very small. It's not the kind of, I'm looking to change that kind of towards the end of the year. But what would you say to someone? Would you say that they should have a brand straight away and be like, right, I'm blah blah blah, or do you know what I mean? Or would you say get your feet on the ground first, get your foot in the door, start working with people, and then decide what your kind of brand is?
Yeah, exactly that. I'd probably just say, of all the things you should be worrying about when you first start out PT, having a fancy logo and a fancy name probably isn't up there at the top of your priority list. Like, if you are quite good at designing or whatever, or like you've got an idea of what you want to call your brand already, then yeah, do it. But you don't really need to have it. Like, I could still be Tom Barkley, or like Tom Barkley PT was my first Instagram. I could still be that, and I don't think much would have changed. I do think brands are good, especially when you start to expand, but I don't think they're 100% needed, especially if you're just a self-employed one-off personal trainer. Until you're wanting to seriously expand, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I'll definitely add to that point and say, if you're just a one-to-one and you just want to be a one-to-one, I think it's really, really good having a brand, but I don't think it's a necessity. Whereas I think if you want, like you said, to expand into online coaching or actually kind of build a proper business, then 100% you kind of need one.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just going to finish on a few questions. So I asked in my story some questions for us, and you did as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Just like what I did with Sam on the last podcast. You want to do like I'll do one, you do one?
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, okay, cool. So first question I've got here. What do you suggest a new PT does if struggling to get clients?
Okay, so this is a hard one because if I had the answer to this, I'd run a whole business selling this idea because it made me very, very rich. Basically, the number one way you can get new clients in is referrals. So if you've already got 5 clients sitting there, the chances are they have probably got somebody who they know who does want a personal trainer, who at least wants to like lose a bit of weight or get into the gym. So setting up like a referral scheme might be a good idea, where like if they refer whoever, then they get like session free. Do you think referrals are a really, really good way to build up your client base? But that's all dependent on if you're offering a good enough service for them to refer people. Like, people will speak about your service if you are very, very good at what you do. They'll be like, oh, I just had a wicked session with like my trainer, blah, blah, blah. So referrals are a good way. Instagram's a good way. Like, just trying to start up on Instagram. You, like, theoretically, if you had 100 people follow you And this is why, like, you should try not to buy into the whole, like, likes and followers. If you had 100 people follow you, but they all absolutely loved you and loved your brand and wanted every single thing that you offer you, then you've got 100 clients sitting on your doorstep, and nobody needs more than 100 clients. Nobody could really handle more than 100 clients, like, on a one-to-one basis. So don't get too caught up in the followers, and instead, even if you've only got 20 people follow you, do everything you can to add as much value as you can to them for free, and then they'll eventually buy off you.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think for myself, I think this question's quite hard because it depends where you're at. Are you struggling to get new clients, like 1 or 2, or if it's been a few months? It's quite a hard kind of question. I think definitely bind your time, and I think definitely put more emphasis. I know a lot of people look outside and try and get new clients in, but I think definitely put even more emphasis on the clients that you've got, because like exactly what you said with referrals, the more hard work and the more effort you put into the clients that you have at the moment, the more chance their best friend is going to join, or their partner or something like that. And that's what I've had quite a lot the last couple months. Their partners, I don't know, going somewhere in December and they want to do something about it. So definitely, if you're struggling to get new clients but you already have clients, put all your emphasis into that. And like you said,
I'd say, just adding on to that, I'd just say market them as well. Like, as long as the clients are fine with you putting on their Instagram and stuff, like, you don't have to put up insane physique transformations to show off your clients. Like, you can literally just whack up your client doing an extra rep, or like hitting a PB on leg press or something. Chuck that up on your Instagram, because then at least it shows that you're active and people know that you're actually working with clients.
Spot on, bro. Exactly, mate. Got a question?
Yeah, so weird. So I know this boy because he speaks to me quite a lot on Instagram. So he's 14 years old, and he said, if and or why should you train at a young age? So he's been told before that he shouldn't weight train at a young age. So he just kind of wanted to get our opinions on if you should train at a young age, or if we think you shouldn't train, and kind of a good way to go about it without going too in depth.
Yeah, I think don't hold me responsible for what I'm going to say. If something goes wrong, don't come back to me and be like, that guy said do this.
Blame the same one.
I think personally, about 14 is probably the minimum. I reckon any younger than that, maybe not, but I think 14 is fine. Stick with kind of compound movements, your squats, if it's good form anyway, squats, deadlifts, bench press, and just keep that consistent. Don't go crazy in terms of kind of your frequency, so don't be going kind of every day. I'd probably suggest sort of 3 or 4 times a week, more like 2-3 times a week, and just get used to just performing at that rate. So I would say it's fine, but then it depends, because a lot of 14-year-olds now, it depends on where they're at in growth. You know, you can have some 14-year-olds that are really, really big guys. You might have some that haven't actually entered puberty. Do you know what I mean? And their joints, their muscles are a lot lower stage than someone that's already started developing. So you have to take that in consideration as well. But I think it's fine. I think if you join a gym, I think a lot of gyms now, like my gym, I think you have to be at least 16.
Yeah, which you do.
So it's a hard one, but I would say there's nothing too wrong about that, and compounds is the one.
Yeah. So I agree with what you said. Same kind of idea, disclaimer, if you're younger than 16 and you do this and you hurt yourself, it's not my fault, it's your fault.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there was research done into it. I'm not sure who did it, because there was obviously that belief that it stunted your growth. As far as I know, that has now been proven wrong. If anyone's got any conflicting research, then send it to me, I'd be interested to see. But I don't believe that it stunts your growth. So weight training, as we know, it strengthens up your tendons and your ligaments. So the idea of somebody who's growing to help strengthen their tendons and ligaments is probably a good idea, especially if they're playing a lot of sport. Then I'd just look at, if you go over to America, they've got 12, 13, 14-year-olds in the gym lifting heavy weights who want to be NFL stars, and they start them from young lifting weights, and they all seem to grow up, as far as I know, to be fine, because they've got good coaches who are teaching about proper form.
Yeah.
What I'd say in terms of training is just do it because you enjoy it. Don't be in the gym because you want to be some wham guy with ripped abs by the time you're 15 years old. You should, if you enjoy training, then go in and train, but don't feel like you have to be in the gym every single day because you don't. Like you said, I'd definitely recommend a lower frequency, only 3 or 4 times a week, on either full body or upper lower kind of splits. Go in and just do the things you enjoy. But like, if one day you're like, oh, I can't probably train, I'd rather go for a run instead. Don't think, oh, I've got to lift weights because it's what all these Instagram people that I see do. Like, maybe you want to go try gymnastics because maybe you'll really enjoy gymnastics instead. Like, especially at 14. I know I'm still young myself as well in the general scheme of things. But especially at 14, like, you should just be trying loads of shit and seeing what you enjoy. But if it is gym, then do it. Like, don't let anyone tell you you shouldn't be doing something you enjoy. Go and do it. But in terms of like nutrition, because I do know that this guy did very clean eating for a period of time where he went like very grow. I'd say just eat everything under the sun. Like, eat healthy food and eat enough protein. But if you're a skinny kid or like you're pretty lean already, don't be afraid to eat. Like, that's something that I did wrong when I first started lifting. Is that I learned that carbs were bad, apparently. Yeah. So I was already a skinny kid, and I stopped eating carbs as well. So I still made good progress, to be fair, but like, I started being an idiot basically with my diet. So I'd just say, make sure you're still enjoying food, eat healthy, but eat whatever you want. Like, if your mates want to go eat a pizza, go and eat a pizza. Don't be like, nah, I'm going to eat my chicken and brown rice, because at 14, it doesn't matter. So.
And I think as well, just on that point as well, don't, like, again with Instagram, you see a lot of shredded people that have been on these cuts. If you're that age or even slightly older, just put so much emphasis on just keep growing. Yeah.
if I was 14 or 15, if I grew it back, even when I decided gym at 16, I bulked for 4 years. Yeah. Like, I did what everyone did. I learned what bulk was, went on a bulk for a few months, and then went on a cut for a few months, then went on a bulk. Like, if I could take myself back, I would just train my arse off and eat everything and not get too fat, obviously, like, monitor that. But I just got on a bulk for 3 or 4 years. And then by the time that you, like, then everyone will just think you're the one guy and, like, you'll fill out a t-shirt, you'll look good anyway. But then once you go on that, like, summer holiday with the lads, what everyone does, and then you suddenly cut, everyone will be like, shit, you look insane.
That's it.
So, yeah. I'd recommend everyone, if you're young, if you're like a teenager, just bulk.
I think, yeah. You see so many people just like eating just loads of rice now, like, as soon as they listen to this. I don't know if you know, but you know that Julian Smith guy? I think he's American, the one that has massive quads. I remember seeing an Instagram post from him like a couple months ago. There were 2 pictures of him, like, proper, you might call, like, kind of fat. And then there's a picture of him, like, absolutely shredded. And he basically said, you know, he was bulking for about 10 years. That was the. I know. Don't take this with a bit of pinch of salt, and you don't have to go crazy with food. But he put so much time and investment into bulking that now he can stay all lean round because he's got that much muscle. Cool. Next question. So, best ways to draw in new online clients, and that's online, not PTs. Online, what would you say?
Online clients. So it'd just be, for me, probably just be building up your Instagram and referrals again. Like, if you offer one of your online clients really good service, they'll recommend their friends or family to you. So referrals, but I've already said that one. So I'd just say build up an Instagram, try build up a bit of following, offer people everything for free. Like, unless you want a personalised nutrition and training plan from me, I'll pretty much give you any knowledge that I've got for free, because I've learned it from most other people. Yeah, I might pay for some of it, but like, you should just offer shit for free. Like, go on Instagram, put up posts, give them as much content as you can. When someone's in your DMs, if they ask you something, don't be like, oh yeah, I'll make you a training plan, that's 80 quid please. Like, just answer their question in as most helpful and informative way as you can, because they might not buy off you straight away. Like, I have people who've been inboxing me for upwards of 6 months and over 6 months, and they probably will never buy anything off me. But I'll still give them as much as possible as I can, because they might tell a friend about me who might buy off me. So I'd just say, build up an Instagram following, offer people as much value as you possibly can through that platform, or build up a YouTube or whatever else you want to do. But offer people as much value and content as you can through that, and then just try and work it off of that. Maybe start a referral scheme again. But that, like, I would hate to just be an online coach, because I imagine sitting at your computer, staring at a screen and thinking, how the fuck am I going to get clients when I don't even speak to people every single day, is pretty hard. So yeah, I'd just say build up a good social media following, offer value, and then hopefully the clients will just come.
I definitely think with online clients, content goes a long way. Like, don't really kind of put a picture of you shredded with like an emoji, because you're not really educating someone. Yeah, that might attract a few people. People are like, oh, I want that physique. But as a coach, 9 times out of 10, people want value. They want content. They want to see you kind of. I think a lot of people, if they're thinking about personal trainer or online coach, I think they kind of sit back and kind of watch. Okay, I might have him as my online coach, but I'm going to see what he kind of does. The more content you provide, and you're kind of like you've kind of like mini planted the seed. So you put the idea in their head already just by the content you provide. And if an event comes up, for example, like they suddenly have to have a wedding in 6 months or whatever, they think, okay, I'm well out of shape, what do I do? They'll automatically go to you because you're already there. Did you want to do one more question?
Yeah.
What have you got?
I've got Andre Web Fitness asking if I'll speak about him. This is me speaking about you, Andre, so that's that done. That's if you actually listen to this podcast as well.
Just skip to the end.
But the only other one I've got, Sam Merritt PT, saying on a scale of 1 to fucking outrageous, how much you punch him with your girlfriend?
That's what we said this a second ago. I didn't realise you had a partner.
Yeah. Low profile. Nah, she's sound. She's pretty attractive, and I'm definitely punching, but she probably won't listen to this, so she doesn't get to know that, so it's alright. But I get told that a lot, so I think it's a telltale sign.
That's what I enjoy about this podcast as well, because like Carly, like she'll look at all my Instagram, she'll read it, she'll watch my YouTube videos. She don't watch these podcasts. She said to me they're too boring. So you know what? I got like a free hour to talk about whatever I want. But nah, sweet bro. But no, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for giving your kind of insight of, you know, you're 3 years deep into one-to-one. You've built up so much knowledge, and you're only 21 years old. So, you know, you're just going to keep growing. In terms of your kind of future plans, just quickly, this time next year, where do you see yourself?
I just want to keep building up my one-to-one. So my one-to-one diary is actually full, but I want to just keep building up my results. Obviously, I want to specialise in physique development, so I just want to keep on pumping out the results, what I'm getting. I want to build up my online coaching platform. I do want to build up the amount of clients I've got on it. And I do have a shareholding in the gym that I work in. So I want to just keep building up the business side of that as well. And basically just keep becoming a better coach and keep doing as much as I can for my clients. And
just kind of keep helping people and educating and doing as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wicked, bro. But no, thank you so much for coming on. Someone so young, you're so knowledgeable in what you do and advice you provide. Not just through, you know, you have IGTV, your Instagram. So for anyone that's wanting to become a PT or even in their first year of PT, so many people can learn from you. So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on, bro. And we'll chat soon, yeah?
Perfect. Thank you very much, man.
Cheers, dude.